Pryme Energy is an Australian listed company engaged in oil and gas exploration, development and production. Pryme's project portfolio includes liquid-rich producing assets together with substantial oil development and exploration acreage in the United States. The company's immediate focus is the development of its Capitola Oil Project, located in an active region of the Cline Shale resource play on the edge of the eastern shelf of the Permian Basin in Texas. With me is Justin Pettett, the CEO of Pryme Energy. Welcome, Justin.
Yep, thank you, Tim.
Now, you're currently working on the Capitola project, but before we talk about that, you announced recently that you sold your interest in the Raven project quite recently, which gave you $6.5 million cash in the bank.
Yep.
Well, added to the cash that you already have, giving you about $9 million in the bank. That's a significant amount of capital for a small company.
Yeah, it puts us in a rather peculiar position where we're now trading below our cash, which we've never been in that position before. So very fortunate to get the Raven project sold for the price that we did, and have a sufficient cash to enable us to get through our drilling program in Capitola.
So talking of Capitola, you've just finished all the drilling. Now you're in the process of developing those wells into producing assets. That's
right. So we finished drilling our first 3 wells. 2 wells in what we call the Sweetwater acreage to the south, and 1 well in Claytonville to the north. And the first Sweetwater well, we recently fracture stimulated that well, and everything went to plan. In fact, it went so well to plan that we're going to adjust our fracking program on the second well, the Hope Bowls, which will be fracked in early January.
So these wells are, as soon as they're in production, which is quite close, you're immediately putting that into the market.
Correct.
For sale.
That's right. So the Mahaffey Bishop, which we just fracked about a week and a half ago, we've installed a pumping unit on that well. We're now producing that into our production facility. We do have a small skim of oil in our frack fluid. We need to produce a lot of that frack fluid back, but yes, we are starting to sell oil. In the next week or two, we'll be in oil production, which is a great turnaround. The time to turn around from these wells is great.
So right now, this part of the Permian Basin in Texas is very well known, and also you have a lot of E&P majors around the area as well. Some of those companies would be...
Yeah, Devon Energy, one of they're probably the biggest company around us. Gun Oil to the north, they're a privately owned company. They leased 95,000 acres on the back of the Cline Shale, gathering some momentum. However, they've never drilled a Cline Shale well. They've drilled around 40 vertical wells down to the depth of the Ellenberger, primarily targeting the Canyon Sand. So very similar to what we're doing, and very similar strategy, drilling vertical wells, building cash flow and building that production profile.
So I was going to ask that, in terms of the strategy for the company, compared to a lot of these guys in that area, you're a lot smaller.
Yes.
So are you targeting shallower plays that are much easily brought into production?
Correct, yeah. They're termed renaissance plays in the US, where we're drilling in between existing production. This is a field that was discovered in the 50s by Sinclair Oil, and we're drilling in down spacing and drilling in between existing production. So very low risk. However, we're using 2014 production completion methods, 2014 stimulation methods, and so we're hoping to extract a lot more oil out of these fields.
That's very good news. And you're listed on the US market too. So if US investors want to look at the opportunity, it's POGLY.
Correct, that's
on
right.
On the OTC market.
Yep.
And it's ASX PYM on the Australian market.
That's right, yeah.
So considering now you're sub 1 cent, for investors, looking cash in the bank, I'm not sure what your market cap is now, but it's most likely that your market cap's less than the cash in the bank. Am I correct?
It is, yeah. It's amazing to think that we have a negative EV, in that we have existing production in Louisiana that we've had since we listed. We've drilled the 3 wells in Capitola. The first is in production. The other 2 will be brought in production throughout the month of December, and we've got sufficient cash to get us through our drilling program. So to be trading trading at a negative EV. It's probably not uncommon in this market, but we're in that group of companies that have sufficient cash and will hopefully get a lot of love from shareholders.
So going into the first quarter next year, you'll probably in a position where you'll be able to give flow rates and production figures into the existing supply chain for the
That's
sale?
correct, yeah. We'll be ready to, as soon as, particularly the Mahaffey Bishop that we've just put on pump, I hope in the next week or two we can get a production rate out of that well as we start to produce some of that frack fluid off. But in January we will have 3 wells in production in our Capitola Oil Project, and then we'll be focused on the further development of the project. And a lot of people who have read our presentation will see we've had up to 200 locations that we can drill vertically throughout this project.
200.
So yeah, it's a repeatable type project. So we're very excited. Devon have drilled the first horizontal canyon sand well to the south of us, and they've had very good success. So we're going to be focused in the vertical development of the project, but a real company maker type play for us could be the horizontal canyon sands type of drilling that Devon are doing to the south.
So that's a horizontal
that's
transverse
right.
drill.
Yeah, that's right. So we're drilling through these
through a shale.
Through tight sands. So
Okay.
the canyon sand is a tight sand play, and we're fracking vertically into these sands, but horizontally we could get a lot better results. So, but that'll be something as we grow.
So I did read that you make references to stacked plays. So is this where you have shale and tight sands and sandstone all sitting on top of it? And this is what traps the oil?
Yeah, that's right. So in one well bore, you'll have the Cline Shale, you'll have the canyon sands, and we call it the canyon sand series because within the series, you've got 4 or 5 different sands. And what we're able to do is we can fracture stimulate the Cline and also the canyon sands, and we can commingle all of those zones in the one well bore and produce those up through our production facilities. So rather than targeting one sand, we're actually commingling several.
So some layers would have more gas and some would have more oil.
That's right.
And so commingling is where you're taking the different components from the different layers and then putting that up to surface.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. And the technology is so good today that we can put tracers into different zones. So when we frack the Cline, we can put a tracer in the Cline and then a different tracer in the canyon sand. So when we produce these wells back to the surface, we can see what zones are contributing to that production. So the technology that is available to us in the oil and gas industry is just remarkable. But being able to commingle, our hope is that we're able to beat the average or the typical production curve in the field. That's, we have so much data because of the numerous wells that have been drilled since the 50s.
And you're using the new technology, 2014
Correct.
Technology.
Yep.
Well, Justin, that's very exciting, and I would urge investors to keep a watch out for Pryme Energy. It's prymeenergy.com.au, on the Australian Stock Exchange PYM and the US market POGLY. Thank you very much
Thanks,
for
Tim.
coming
Thank
in,
you.
Justin.
Thank you.